How long is NP school? That depends. So I'm in family NP, and then it depends on your program too. And I'm technically a part-time NP student. So my program, if you find clinicals in time, because we have to find our own clinicals, is essentially 2.5 years long. Can you discuss the difference between an RN and a nurse practitioner? So as an RN, you work as a nurse, and then as an NP, you basically work as a practitioner. So you're essentially like a provider. It depends on what state you live in, what country you live in, because the laws are different everywhere. So as an NP, I could prescribe medications. I can diagnose patients. I can see my own patients. In some states, I don't have to have a doctor overlooking my every move. And I can have my own clinic, essentially acting as a provider. I don't like to say this, but I feel like it can be similar to like a physician assistant or a PA. But from a nurse point of view with a nursing background. And a lot of times whenever people are in nursing, whenever they are a nurse, they also are in nurse practitioner school. You typically work while you do school at the same time. How often do you interact with other types of health professionals? Every time I work. I work with NPs, I work with PAs, I work with med students, residents, doctors, respiratory therapists, child life specialists. Gosh, there's just so many specialties within every hospital. So I work or interact with them all the time. What do I enjoy most about my job? And how do you deal with stressful situations or unexpected events in the hospital? Okay, so what do I enjoy most? The patients. I love kiddos. I love babies. I have always been that person. Like I said, I want to be a pediatrician for the longest time. I always liked helping people and making them feel better. So I just like, and the floor that I work on, I'm very fortunate. I don't see, a lot of like deaths. I don't see, we do get some cases where like, we'll get a kiddo that has like cancer or something, and or like a kiddo that we think might not actually make it, and then we have to end up sending them to ICU. We have those instances, but I just love that most of the time I can see those kids get better over time, and then they just go home, and just knowing that I did something good today to make them feel that way and to get them better to be able to go back home to their families. And then how do you deal with stressful situations or unexpected events in the hospital? There's so much unexpected that can happen. Your kid can turn the corner within like 5 minutes whenever you walk in, and I'd have to call like that medical emergency team. You kind of just have to do your best, and it gets easier with time. My first year of nursing, it was really funny. I just finished orienting, and it was my first day on my own as a nurse, and my kiddo, I had to call a medical emergency team, and the time that I called it was a shift change at the end of my shift. But I had like my charge nurse there. She was kind of guiding me and leading me on what to do. So never be afraid to ask for help. And that's also something to look for. If you guys are interviewing with units, look at the staff, look to see if they're interacting with each other, asking questions, look to see if they're interactive, because your work environment can make or break you. That could be the busiest unit, and you can have such great coworkers and such great support and get through it all. But if you don't have like support, if everyone does not jump in and help each other, and it's a busy night or a busy day shift or whatever it may be, the burnout will increase. And that's not an environment that you'd want to be in. So definitely make sure you guys look for that. How does working night shifts affect my life outside of nursing? It is hard. It is definitely hard. Even on my days off, I sleep typically until 1 to 2 p.m. just because that's what my body's used to. Everyone's kind of different. I have coworkers that are able to like snap back into like their normal schedule. Like they'll like nap for 3 hours when they get home in the morning after working night shift, and then they'll wake up and go out and have lunch with their families, be up the rest of the day, and then still be able to sleep by like 11 or like midnight and still be able to sleep that whole night and then go back to a normal schedule. Me, on the other hand, I can't function. Like I need at least 4 or 5 hours of sleep in order for me to function. And I tend to just keep the same sleep schedule. And sometimes I'm studying at like 2 a.m. at night. And that's why I'm on the list for day shift. I feel like night shift is okay to do as long as it is temporary, at least for me, because it worked, and it worked for about 2.5 years. And then after that, I just started not feeling the best. So it was great, but it's time to move on, and I'm going to make sure that whenever, because I'm getting married soon, whatever new job that I pick, I'm going to wait until I find one that's actually on day shift, just because I know that my cup will not be full if I continue that. Why peds? I feel like this is such a general answer, but like I said, I love babies. I love kiddos. I've had baby fever for the longest time. So that is why. Have you always wanted to be in the medical field? Yes. And do you have any favorite things to do to de-stress after work? So I like my blog, I feel like helps de-stress. I like talking to my followers. I like answering questions to people, creating content in general. I feel like it's a lot of fun. I am not the best at working out, as I feel like we all should be, but having coffee, that helps me de-stress, my Starbucks. But yeah. To get into school for a master's, does the origin of your bachelor's degree matter? Typically, no. As long as you meet the requirements to apply to an NP program, you should be good. I'm going to the same NP program or same school that I went to for my bachelor's for their NP program, just because they had automatic acceptance if you went there for your bachelor's in nursing. They also had automatic acceptance if you had like a certain GPA in undergrad. And so I didn't have to like take an extra test or anything like that. And it was close, and financially it just seemed better compared to like more achievable. I was able to handle it better financially, paying for it, rather than going to like an NP school like out of state. And for those of you that don't know, a lot of NP schools are online. Most of them are online. Sometimes there's programs where it's called like a hybrid program where you do like online and in school or in class. But yeah, so some people will be living in Dallas, but then they'll do an NP program in like Colorado, for example. But then you have to think about paying for like out of state tuition and all that stuff. But do colleges factor into applications? Typically, no. I feel like it's not like med school or PA school to where they're going to be like, no, you went to this college, but this person went to like this better college, so we're going to take this person over you. I feel like there's so many NP programs in general, they want to take you in, and it's kind of your decision. But yeah. Are there any more questions? Also, do you have to be an RN before pursuing NP school? Yes, you do have to be an RN. You do have to have your bachelor's. You cannot go to like, you cannot be like an LVN. You have to be an RN with your bachelor's degree in order to start NP school, because that's kind of like the step in between. Like you can't go from elementary school to high school. Like you kind of have to do everything in between too. Does anyone else have any more questions? Is that it? I see McKenna smiling. Okay.
I don't have any other questions. I don't see any in the chat.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Well, I will do a little spiel really quick. I do want to apologize to you and to everybody for all the technical difficulties. I'm so sorry that you had to deal with that. My computer died right when I was in the middle of speaking, so I apologize. But since you all are here, I'm going to go ahead and send the link to the Google form in the chat. And if you want a certification for today's virtual shadowing session, go ahead and fill that out. And once again, thank you so much for speaking to us. And thank you everybody for joining us. I hope you all learned a lot. I definitely did, because I didn't know too much about this aspect, because I'm pre-med, so I don't hear a lot of nursing stuff. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me. And I hope that this helped. And I wasn't just kind of blobbing on. I just worked 3 night shifts in a row. So I tried my best.
We'll love to see it. Well, if nobody has any other questions, then I think we're okay to wrap up. Once again, just thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.